What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss the fourth stimulus package update, stimulus check update, and daily news. Everything going on here in our country, in Washington, D.C., money, investing, the stock market, everything you need to know about on a daily basis. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, make sure to click the subscribe button down below. New videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's completely free to subscribe so you don't miss out on new videos. And thank you so much for hitting the like button for us down below. You guys are amazing. I'll keep you up to date with everything going on here in our country. The stock market has been roaring back here the last few days. The Dow up 400 points here today. It was also up several hundred points here on Friday. The S&P up almost 2% here today. And also the NASDAQ up over 3% just today alone. This is after it's been absolutely clobbered here over the last several days, almost down about 10% here recently. The NASDAQ actually down over more than that. It was a nice correction if you were looking to buy. A pretty good dip if you're looking to buy the dip. But now we've had two big gain days here in a row. It does kind of make you wonder, are we going to see a continued Dow trend, or is this what they call the dead cat bounce? It is a pretty kind of indecisive direction at this point, but you can see large gains here by the NASDAQ and the Russell 2000. We had huge gains today. You can see Tesla stock up over 10% today alone. Wow. This after, Tesla's given up some pretty big gains here recently, but gained 10% back today in one day alone. Wow, that is a lot. I hope somebody bought the dip there. But yeah, stocks have been in trouble here lately because of the Russia. A lot of people worried about Russia. What is that going to be a much bigger conflict that could be, I don't want to say World War III, but a lot of people are concerned about that. A lot of people concerned about inflation being much bigger here for 2022, as well as potential larger taxes for corporations. So there has been a lot of, kind of blood in the market here recently, but the last 2 days have been a significant bounce back. Meanwhile, as the Omicron variant is coming down a little bit at a time, the CDC actually raised new travel advisory for a dozen new countries due to a COVID spike. So even though it's coming down from its high here in the US, and there's that new virus variant of the Omicron variant, the BA.2 variant, there's new travel advisories for a dozen new countries. Yeah, it seems like if it's not one thing, it's another, right? These new level 4 travel advisories were issued for Chile, Ecuador, Mexico, Paraguay, as well as Anguilla, St. Vincent, and Grenades. The high level advisories were also issued for Kosovo, Moldova, Singapore, Philippines, Brazil. The level 4 alert, the CDC's highest classification for COVID risk, comes with the recommendation to avoid travel and when that's not possible, to be fully vaccinated against the virus. The CDC is also warning, due to the very high levels of virus cases in these countries, that even fully vaccinated travelers are still be at risk for getting and spreading the virus. Meanwhile, Republican Senator Ted Cruz is speculating on President Biden potentially picking Vice President Kamala Harris for the Supreme Court, which would mean that Vice President Kamala Harris would have to resign from being vice president if President Biden actually did this. This is a very interesting scenario. You can let me know your thoughts if you think this will actually happen, which Republican Senator Ted Cruz thinks that this will happen. Republican Senator Ted Cruz from Texas said in a podcast he speculated that President Biden may nominate Vice President Kamala Harris to serve on the Supreme Court, quote, to get her out of the White House. This is what Republican Senator Ted Cruz said. Biden has promised to nominate a black woman to serve on the Supreme Court. This article said there is little to no chance he's going to pick Kamala Harris. She is not among a half dozen names who are seen as the top of potential picks to succeed the retiring Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer. But Republican Senator Ted Cruz thinks that he's going to nominate her. Ted Cruz says, look, the Democratic Party is very worried that she's the presumed successor to Joe Biden because her political negatives are so strong, he told the podcast host. He says, I think there's a chance they nominate Kamala to the court in part because they can't stand her. And one of the virtues of naming her to the court is they get to get her out of the White House. Ouch. And because President Biden is 79 years old, and while he says he plans to run for re-election, his age has also led to speculation that he could choose not to run for a second term. And Kamala Harris is his most likely successor, though her approval numbers are also very low, and Republicans and some Democrats do not see her as a potential strong nominee in 2024. Now, this is starting to get more and more press. As you can see here, this could be credible. Speculation ramps that Vice President Kamala Harris could be Biden's Supreme Court pick. Of course, she would have to be nominated. You could almost assume that if she gets nominated, she'd probably get picked. The question is, will she be nominated? Then the next question would be, if she gets nominated, who would the next vice president be? And there's been a lot of speculation on that as well. And the most likely successor on that, at least according to speculation, is Hillary Clinton, as you can see here on this article. You can let me know your thoughts on that. Are you for this? Are you against this? The conspiracy theorists and the conspiracy theories are just running rampant on an hourly basis as of right now. You can let me know your thoughts here in the comments. What a picture here! Look at Hillary's face there. Yeah, it's quite the picture there. I don't know if this is going to happen. It seems like a long shot, but if it does happen, it would create quite the spectacle. It would have the tabloids running crazy. We've seen crazier things happen, so you can't make this stuff up. It's I mean, I guess you could make this stuff up. It's a scenario that could happen. It's not necessarily going to happen. So who knows? You let me know your thoughts if you think it could happen. I don't know. Guess we'll have to see. Meanwhile, the White House has confirmed that J. Michelle Childs is among multiple individuals under consideration for Supreme Court nominations. And President Biden has said that he will confirm a black woman to be the first Supreme Court black woman on the Supreme Court. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens here. And you can let me know what you think is going to happen. Next up here is Secretary of Commerce Gina Raimondo and former governor here on the Build Back Better package and Senator Joe Manchin. Check this out.
Build Back Better is currently stalled in Congress, and a lot of people want to know if the administration is comfortable with a package of a few items paid for over 10 years, as opposed to the last package that was passed by the House. So, yes or no, Secretary, are you comfortable with that type of package? And what items do you think have to absolutely be in there?
That's the president's call. That is not my call. So I will obviously defer to him on that. But I think he's been very clear, crystal clear. He's willing to compromise. He wants something done. We know what the president's priorities are because he put them out. Now it's finding common ground. I think there's enormous support for public pre-K, for the care economy, for many of the climate provisions, prescription drugs. So we just have to circle around those handful of things that there's support for and get it done.
You're, as we've mentioned before, you're a former governor. Joe Manchin, who everyone loves to talk about as a former governor. Do you think that he's gettable on a revised Build Back Better package?
I do. I think he's gettable. I think we will get him, and I think this is going to happen.
Do you have a kind of timeline or a goal or an end date where you're hoping?
So after being governor for 6 years, I spent 10 years in executive positions in Rhode Island I did a lot through the legislature. It always takes longer, always. Often I put through a huge infrastructure package. The Speaker of the House supported it from day one. It was supposed to take 2 months. It took a year and a half. So I don't know. I don't know. Sooner is better. Everything takes too long. But I feel like it will happen. That's my view.
If I could just quickly follow up, I mean, is there a certain reason that you think that the senator is gettable on this, given what we've seen over the last few months?
Well, he is publicly on record of saying he supports the investments in the care economy. He supports the investments to bring about universal pre-K. There's bits, he supports the job training. He supports a lot of it. So we know there are large swaths of this that he does support. And I think we start, with that and figure out, okay, how do we build, how do we add on to that?
So she says that she thinks that Joe Manchin is, quote, gettable. In fact, a lot of the Democrats say that Senator Joe Manchin is going to be basically writing parts of the next Build Back Better package as long as the progressives will go along with it. The problem here is there's just going to be a little bit of a tug of war here because Joe Manchin is, going to probably figuratively be, maybe even literally, be given the pen for the Build Back Better package here. But the progressives who are growing in number, remember there's 96 progressives in the House of Representatives. It's almost half of the entire House. The Democratic Progressive Caucus is growing in number. In fact, they're almost half of the Democrat Progressive Caucus at this point. And as the years have been going by, we had Bernie Sanders on the show here like yesterday or so. And he said he kind of founded the Progressive Caucus back in '91. He was like the first person there. And remember, he's from the Senate, though. And now it's almost half of the House of Representatives, and or at least Democrat side. And it's just growing in numbers. And he says, based on polls, that the progressive kind of agenda kind of is what the average American is for. So, reducing the cost of childcare, helping people with their bills, stimulus type of things is what the average American votes for and is in favor of. And again, you can let me know your thoughts if you agree with that or not. If you've seen that video here, it was like a couple videos ago where Bernie Sanders was on the show. And the Democrats seem to be growing in number towards the Progressive Caucus as opposed to the moderates like Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema. So they do seem to be growing in number in that size. So it is interesting to kind of see them shifting that way. Of course, we also have Republicans that are kind of like the opposite of that. And remember, just a few years ago, the Republicans controlled the House, the Senate, and the presidency. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in this next midterm elections. I think a lot as we go into the midterm elections here this November, and we start to see campaigning here this year for that, it'll be interesting to see how a lot of people vote because a lot of people are going to be making decisions here to see, and we're going to kind of have a lot of this where people are going to say, well, the Democrats tried to do as much as they can. They passed the Build Back Better Act. We had the bipartisan infrastructure package pass and whatever else they can pass this year. And then we have the Republicans who are basically, at this point, just not voting for anything. They're just voting no to everything, most everything on the Democratic agenda. But they're saying, hey, we want to do this, we want to do this, we want to do this. But at this point, everything underneath Joe Biden, for the most part, they voted a little bit on the bipartisan infrastructure. They're just voting no on most things. So the question is, if the Republicans take control, what will they vote for? If the Republicans are in control, what will happen? It's kind of interesting to say what would the Republicans do if the Republicans were in control, where you can kind of think back to what they were in control of back in 2017 and 2018 when the Republicans controlled the House, the Senate, and the presidency underneath former President Donald Trump. Doesn't seem that far ago, but it kind of seems like a long time ago. Now the Democrats have been in control for about a year underneath Biden and with the Senate and the House. So they're now in control of the House, the Senate, and the presidency. It's been a year. Seems like a long time, but it's been a year. So that's kind of, I think, a lot of people's decisions. A lot of people also do what a lot of people just vote Democrat every year. A lot of people vote Republican every year. They're tried and true. I'm going to vote Democrat every single year. I'm going to vote Republican every year, no matter who it is, no matter anything. But then there's a lot of people who will vote, realist or independent, or will change their votes, say, no, the Democrats aren't doing good, or the Republicans aren't doing what I think they should, and that's kind of where the swing votes, and that's kind of where we see elections are changed, right? And that's where we see Republicans take over or Democrats take over, and that's where we see the swing votes, right? That's where we see states changes and House representatives, Senates change, presidents change. You can let me know your thoughts here going forward. What do you think is going to happen here? Do you think the House is going to change? Senate change? Of course, both parties think that they're going to retain. The Democrats think that they're going to retain the House, retain the Senate. The Republicans think they're going to take back at least one or both. Of course, President Biden has 3 more years. So really his low approval ratings, remember that former President Donald Trump actually had slightly lower approval ratings at this point, basically 1 year after. So both of them had really low approval ratings at this point. So I think it's kind of par for the course. Now Biden's in the pandemic. Former President Donald Trump wasn't in the pandemic at this point yet, but I actually kind of feel for both of them with the pandemic, because I know if I was president and I was dealing with this pandemic, you just got to really think that most people aren't happy with the pandemic, uh, especially when people are getting sick, they're losing their jobs, businesses are going out of business. Uh, the problem with it, with a lot of things, is that you have a lot of people that want more stimulus, and then you have a lot of people that are unhappy with inflation, and then they're like, well, why is inflation so high, and why is the government spending so much, and then you have things like, former President Donald Trump did, all the spending and stimulus packages. The first stimulus package was 2.3 trillion, which was the most ever. Then they had the second stimulus package, and they had minor stimulus packages in there. And then, he blames Biden for his stimulus packages, and, which is only one. And you can't really win, right? If you spend more stimulus money, you get people complaining that you're raising inflation. And then if you don't spend stimulus money, you get people complaining that there's a lot of people that need help, which I fully agree with. I think that you really need to help people in their time of need. I think it's not really the time to worry about the national deficit, because the national deficit is growing no matter what. It's at 29 trillion. In 1990, it was at 3 trillion. It's almost kind of a fictitious number that is going to grow no matter what, no matter who's president. And I think that people's lives matter more than a fictitious number in the sky that's going to grow no matter what. You can let me know your thoughts. I mean, people being able to afford food and afford rent and not live out on the streets and be able to care for their children, care for the elderly, care for the seniors, and be able to afford everything, be able to literally put food on the table, in my opinion, is a little bit more important right now than the national deficit, which has grown from 3 trillion to 29 trillion since 1990 in what is that, 32 years. That it's growing no matter what, whether it's a Republican president, a Democratic president, no matter what. I mean, former President Donald Trump added like $8 trillion to the deficit in 4 years. So it really doesn't matter who's president, they're going to add to the deficit no matter what. So if you're going to add to the deficit no matter what, you might as well at least spend the money on helping people in need, right? Yeah, so that's my thoughts for the day. Let me know your thoughts for the day here. in the comments. So make sure to subscribe to our channel down below. It's completely free to do so. It literally costs nothing. All you gotta do is click subscribe so you won't miss out on our new videos that come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Help us reach our goal of 400,000 subscribers. I'll be here as your voice of the community here every day and letting you know what's going on with stimulus, what's going on with the daily news here every single day. You can click here to watch my newest video next. And you can click here to see how low income can get $1,500 to $6,700. If you haven't seen that video, watch that next. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.